loved about my Suzuki that it was, and it is, a very good bike for long distances on the street. It's a very good bike for a good average speed on long distance. It's quite flexible for the other type of roads, but I think what I hated the most is the weight. It's a bit too heavy for the off-road situation where we've been, and the other thing, it's the ground clearance, which could be a bit bigger, a bit higher. I would say that the average was somewhere above 800 kilometers per day. Above 800 kilometers per day, with a maximum reached on like 1,545, something like that. The seat is the stock one, and it's okay. Yeah, you have to be allowed to change the position. That's the main. I mean, even if the seat wasn't stock, the main idea is to change the position. So I used the crash bars for sitting with my legs and many other positions. Sometimes I stayed on the passenger seat. So yeah, it's comfortable.
Well, it's kind of mixed feelings. I loved about the KTM the power mainly. It's a fun bike to ride. I also love the ground clearance. It's pretty high, so you don't have to worry about stones, curves, whatever. What I hated about it, I would say the ground clearance, because it has a very high center of gravity, so you have to kind of plan ahead. The seat could have been a bit more soft and a bit more wide. Why not? And yeah, it's all around. It's a pretty good bike, especially with the windshield upgrade, because the Adventure R has a small one, a small windshield, right about this tall. So with the upgrade, it's pretty good for long distance travel. A high windshield is a must.
What do you think? Is it more fun to ride than the Suzuki?
Yeah, definitely more fun.
Yeah?
Definitely more fun.
Why? Is it faster?
It's not as comfortable as a Suzuki. Starting from the seat with that windshield is a bit taller, I think, but because you have a lower position, it covers you better. So that's a plus for the Suzuki. And other than that, I don't know. And not to forget the smaller diameter wheels. On road, it's the way to go. One of the worst things on this bike is the side stand. It's pretty long, and it's very close to the bike, so you have to plan your stops carefully. Because the bike will stay very upright, so even the lightest breeze, or I don't know, if you accidentally bump into it, it will just go over and fall down. So I had to adjust it on the road. One of the mechanics we encountered just managed to bend it slightly outwards, so now it stays in a more stable position. But yeah, that would be one of the things I would definitely change on the bike. Maybe on the off-road sections where you needed to like pedal or use your feet to gain balance for a bit. Yeah, that would have been one of the moments I wish I were riding a Suzuki.
Besides losing my rear suspension at the end of the road in Turkey, so on the street I felt the most that. I had the problem with the fuel filter, which was completely, how to say that, clogged, yes, completely clogged, and I had to open the pump, take out the filter, clean it with decarbural and air compressor, air pressure, and besides that, I had a leak on the clutch liquid. But manageable, I mean, yeah.
Mihai?
I didn't have any problems other than one of the telescopes on the fork started leaking because of some dirt or grit which found its way through the seal. I only had to clean it and top it up with fork oil, and that was it. I'm not really sure about that, but the essential parts I would definitely use on this bike on a long road would definitely be the windshield. It adds a lot to the comfort. The crash bars are another very useful add-on. As it proved in my case, the headlight protection was very useful as well, because it helped me like plow through a barrier. Without it, I would have smashed the headlight for sure. And I don't know, I think these are the most useful add-ons I have on the bike right now.
The essential, for sure, the essential part that I used was the crash bar. Besides the crash bar was the engine guard, which is very important in case of the Suzuki, because the ground clearance is not too high, so you need that. You always hit stones and so. The radiator protection, it's also very important on these types of roads, because many stones, many small parts are hitting the radiator, and the risk is too high to afford it. So I would say that that's a good value for this kind of trip. I don't know, the brake pedal and so you have to have it. I don't know what else did I have.
The aftermarket exhaust?
Aftermarket exhaust is just for the good sound, and you know why I bought the aftermarket exhaust, not just for the sound but also for the weight saving. You know, the stock one has about 7 kilograms, and this one it's about 3.2 kilograms, so it's almost 4 kilograms saved by, which is important as well. So yeah, about that. So also the windshield, it's good to be changed than the original one, which is very small. That's for the comfort. Hand guards, very strong hand guards are very important as well. You will fall, so that's for sure. It's not an option. It's not that you are a god. It's you will fall for sure, and that's good for protection.
So when I left, I had some Scorpio MT90 as road tires, so I left with them on, and I had some extras TKC 80. One of them acted as an airbag, if you want, because I had it mounted on the side, and the bike fell a few times and fell on it. When I reached Almaty, I had to change the rear tire, so I switched to a Shinko. I don't know exactly the model, which lasted until Bucharest.
Okay, so what about the wear? How much the TKC lasted?
The wear is pretty uneven. So just to give you an idea, the rear TKC 80 lasted for, I changed it when we entered Mongolia, and I changed it again in Almaty.
I think so, yeah.
So what, about 7,000 or 8,000 kilometers? But the front lasted until Bucharest, so 15,000. Is it? About 12,000-13,000 at least, the front, the TKC 80 front. Okay. So it's pretty uneven.
Okay. Adrian?
I used the Metzler Tourance Next for the street, and for the off-road sections I used the Michelin Anaki Wild. The wear was like Michelin about 7,000. And the Tourance was for the difference, like 25,000 the whole trip minus 7,000 off-road the Michelin. The difference was weared with Next.
In terms of looks, I don't know. It's hard to say, and it's a question that if you ask it 10 times, you'll get probably 7 or 8 different answers. I would definitely say this one looks best.
My point of view is that for me, at least, Suzuki it's much more good looking.
Engine.
So if you ask me what Suzuki offers, a 100 horsepower engine with a good torque, it's quite enough.
I would say mine has the better engine as well.
Why?
Because it has more horsepower, it's more fun to ride and surprisingly reliable.
Okay.
For a KTM.
Keep that.
Only the KTM has switchable ABS and ABS modes and
Traction control?
yeah, I have.
Traction control as well. Yeah.
Switchable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, we use it on off. Off-road it was in off position. Other than that, it's I have a phone. Electronics. Yeah. I love her. I love that she managed to carry me there. But if I want to have a funnier trip, I would definitely choose a lighter bike. A lighter bike, which means like an 800, 600, something like that, not 1000 and not above 200 something kilograms. So that's the change that I would do.
Something lighter and
Suzuki?
with a smaller engine. I would love to try a 690 KTM.
Cool.
Even a 450, I don't know.
So regarding the luggages, I would definitely not go again with the hard case on the type of road that we went, because on the off-road situation and especially on the washboard, we really suffered. The boxes suffered, the screws were broken, so yeah, that's a no. I would definitely use soft luggages, also for the weight savings that those bring.
I would also definitely choose soft cases. For day-to-day use or for like normal trips in Europe or whatever, I would definitely go with the hard cases, no questions asked.
Okay.
You should definitely have tools to fix the tires, like take the tires off, spare tubes, a tire repair kit. That's a must, like you always have to have that. And obviously you should have the tools that you know how to use. Don't bring extras you have no idea how to use.
How many tire punctures?
About 5 and the slash. Like I managed to slash the front, but it's not a puncture. Let's not count it as a puncture. It's different. So about 5.
Adrian?
0 punctures. But if you want, I can share the punctures with Mihai, so
Yeah, we can
2.5,
split.
2.5, we can split them.
For me, it all started with a book I read from one of the Romanian travelers who has been there before. I read that book. I think it was the very year I got my motorcycle license, and ever since I read that, I knew that someday I would get there. I didn't know exactly when, but I knew I had to do that trip.
I was driving sport bikes before, and then I tried enduro touring because I was seeing plenty of roads aside, besides the asphalt part, and I became in love with that. And Mongolia was like a dream terrain for me to find places without roads, yeah, it was a dream. That's why. And because when I will be old, I will be able probably to drive a bike in Austria or wherever in Europe very easily. I felt Mongolia in a different way. It's beautiful. You see some sights, some interesting views, but at a certain point you become bored by the same view, basically. Very rarely is changing. I mean, it's the same. Only hills, only the same type of roads, but it has the beauty, you know. It's a kind of a wild beauty because it's not like we are used to.
It's a wild beauty that it's rapidly changing. Like they are building roads like hell, you get roadworks everywhere in the country, so it's not like that picturesque Mongolia anymore. People drive like small Chinese bikes there. They rarely go on horseback. So if you want to see what's left of it, if you want to see Mongolia as it used to be, you should go there
Now?
quickly. Yeah. I really liked the Wakhan Corridor. It's spectacular. Like,
Where is that?
it's in Tajikistan. It runs along the southern border, and it goes for about 300 kilometers or so, next to the border with Afghanistan. And you get to see the Tajik mountains, the river, and the Afghan on the other side. So it's pretty spectacular, and the river goes from a very narrow, a very fast-flowing river to like a delta-like landscape, and it's spectacular. It's one of the best landscapes I've ever seen.
Swimming in Baikal is one of the dream things that we've done, and the water being very cold when we reached there, we just made some pictures and then go back to the hostel, whatever, pension there. And at about 2 o'clock a.m. we were swimming, so it was a good memory. Pamir was amazing. Driving at about 4,000 meters and looking up, seeing another mountain. So it's weird, you know. Off-road experience, Gobi, desert, sand, everything was amazing.
And the